decisions based on best available science, and we know good data drives good decisions. So we've called you here today to talk about citizen science because we think that it's a good way to empower communities. I want to emphasize that citizen monitoring and citizen science is not a substitute for the work that EPA or New Jersey DEP needs to do, but rather it is a supplement. If problems are identified with solid scientific data, then someone needs to take action. And I think a good illustration of that is many of you are familiar with the Toxics Release Inventory, TRI, where companies self-report the amount of toxins they release into the air, the water, or the land. No one wants to be on a top 10 list in their state. And so oftentimes a company executive will say, gosh, I didn't know we were emitting so much heavy metals or so much PCBs. Let's change. And so I think citizen science builds on the success of the Toxics Release Inventory. It also illustrates that EPA can't be everywhere at once. Many times, the only way we find out about a local environmental problem is when local residents tell us about it. Local residents are the first to smell a pollution problem. They're the first to hear a pollution problem, or sometimes taste it. So one reason we are so interested in citizen science is because of having the ability to have local eyes and ears in communities, and also because of our commitment, our deep commitment to environmental justice. One of Administrator Lisa Jackson's top priorities, and one of my priorities as well, is environmental justice, which is a commitment to ensure that communities who've historically been most affected by pollution, specifically low-income communities and communities of color, are not damaged by pollution. You'll hear in a few minutes from EPA's real leader and visionary on environmental justice, Charles Lee. But I want to say that while we've made progress, there's still such a phenomenally long way to go on the environmental justice issue. We know that 3 out of 5 African American and Latino American children live in communities with an abandoned toxic waste site nearby. 46% of housing units for the poor are within a mile of factories that report toxic emissions to EPA. African American children are 5 times more likely than white children to have lead poisoning. That is absolutely unacceptable. Lead is a potent neurotoxin. It affects a child's ability to learn, what their IQ is, whether they stay in school. And to have a statistic like that in this day and age is just really, really troubling. Further, 16.5% of Puerto Rican children in the United States suffer from chronic respiratory disease, more than twice the rate of Caucasian children. So on a hot day like today, and it is going to be a scorcher, you have parents in Newark, in Camden, in Jersey City, telling many of their children don't go outside and play because the air pollution may prompt an asthma attack or other respiratory illness. So we clearly, on a day like today, are reminded about the need to identify sources of these health problems early on. And I want to give you now a couple examples of how citizen science and community monitoring has really led the way in terms of identifying problems and making change. I want to show you a short video of the